In the shadowy alleyways of a Japanese city, a white-haired girl stalks a mobster with predatory precision. After a playful chase, she corners her prey. Without a word, she reveals a custom pistol, mysteriously loading it with a white substance emerging from her wrist. In a swift, silent moment, she shoots a fatal hole through the man's chest, then vanishes as quietly as she appeared. Across town, middle schooler Seigi Akatsuka intervenes in a street confrontation, wrestling away two troublemakers attempting to rob a strange man. After driving them off, the injured man gratefully thanks Seigi. As a gesture of appreciation, he produces a translucent material bearing an intricate tattoo. Placing it on Seigi's hand, he waits silently. Seigi seeks an explanation, but before he can ask, the material melts and permanently imprints the tattoo onto his palm. Cryptically, the man then departs without further explanation. The next morning, Seigi races to school, late and distracted, with his friend Tuko waiting. Suddenly, the white-haired girl from the previous night materializes, striking him to the ground. Approaching Seigi, she touches his palm, experiencing an inexplicable tingling sensation before disappearing once more, leaving behind only mystery and unanswered questions. During the first class, Seigi obsessively examines the mysterious tattoo on his palm, ignoring his teacher's repeated warnings. When the period ends, his friends discover the tattoo and bombard him with questions. Seigi recounts the bizarre encounter, becoming the target of their playful teasing. One friend shares a chilling rumor circulating online. Someone has stolen a secret combat sealing weapon designed by the American military, and a man matching Seigi's mysterious acquaintance is distributing free tattoos to unsuspecting individuals, potentially entangling them with military authorities. As Seigi's imagination runs wild, Tuko suddenly appears and forcefully drags him shopping. Despite his attempts to escape, she remains adamant, leaving no room for negotiation. While shopping for ingredients for an exotic curry, Seigi steps outside to call his grandfather. Unexpectedly, the white-haired girl reappears and snatches his cell phone, darting away. Seigi gives chase, pursuing her through increasingly rough city areas until she leads him to an abandoned building. Confronting her, Seigi demands his phone's return before darkness falls. However, the girl seems fixated on the tattoo, engaging him in a combative interrogation. Initially defensive, Seigi eventually shifts to an aggressive stance. Despite his efforts, the girl effortlessly overpowers him, ultimately pinning him down and bringing her weapon dangerously close to his head. Fortunately, the girl refrains from harming Seigi and instead engages in a calm discussion. Seigi erupts in frustration, accusing her of insanity. Surprisingly, she appears impressed by his resilience and reveals her own palm tattoo, explaining its intricate mechanics. The tattoo harnesses power from the user's unique trigger, an object that activates supernatural abilities. Her trigger, she reveals, is chalk. As the charge depletes, the tattoo grants its wielder the power to manipulate reality. Seigi, overwhelmed by her complex explanation, complains about the technical details. Returning to his grandfather's dojo, Seigi endures intense training. His grandfather brutally beats him down, demanding he become stronger if he truly wishes to follow his father's path. Battered but determined, Seigi accepts the challenge. The next day at school, Seigi nurses a forehead injury during a monotonous first period. Unbeknownst to him, he's under surveillance by the mysterious girl, Izzy, and her handler Tom, who observe him from a nearby cafe. Once satisfied of his well-being, Izzy dismisses Tom's persistent suggestions about involving the army, casually sipping her coffee and claiming Seigi as her responsibility. For 3 consecutive days, Izzy stalks Seigi with remarkable stealth, her presence almost imperceptible. Eventually, Tuko reaches her breaking point. One evening, while walking home with Seigi, she confronts Izzy dramatically, creating a scene on the street. Seigi calms Tuko down and convinces her to go home while he handles the situation. Facing Izzy, Seigi suggests she simply approach and talk to him directly next time. Initially gloomy, Izzy quickly composes herself and engages in normal conversation. Seigi inquires about activating his tattoo's powers, hoping to use chalk like Izzy. She quickly dispels his assumption, explaining that his trigger will be unique, and apologizes for being unable to help. Moments later, Tom arrives with Wilson, a massive man from the LA Mafia. Wilson immediately attacks Seigi, using his tattoo powers. Izzy and Tom observe passively, recognizing Wilson as a typical mafia member who relies on brute force. He's been in Japan purchasing tattoos from the Yakuza and intimidating them ruthlessly. The battle intensifies, with Seigi realizing he must activate his tattoo's powers to survive. His attempts to punch Wilson backfire, leaving him vulnerable. Wilson brutally slams Seigi to the ground, breaking several ribs and preparing a fatal blow. In a moment of desperation, Seigi accidentally triggers his tattoo's power, creating a void that instantly neutralizes Wilson. Izzy watches in shock, stunned to discover someone in Japan capable of wielding a triggerless tattoo. After activating his tattoo's powers, Seigi briefly loses consciousness, experiencing a cryptic dream featuring an unusual tattoo pattern. He awakens in his room, finding Tom and Izzy rummaging through his personal belongings, seemingly searching for hidden magazines. Outraged, Seigi demands an explanation for their invasion of his private space. Tom and Izzy calmly instruct Seigi to clean up and compose himself before their discussion. Once he's ready, they reveal their true identities as United States Armed Forces members. They've come to Japan investigating the theft of sealed combat weapons from their American research lab by a mysterious researcher. Now, they want Seigi to join their mission, given his permanent connection to the tattoo. Seigi immediately and emphatically refuses their request. Tom explains the gravity of his new reality, warning that without their help, Seigi may never learn to control his initially unstable powers. Frustrated and desperate to return to his normal high school life, Seigi loses his composure. In a moment of defiance, he grabs Izzy by the neck, threatening to expose them if they don't leave him alone. Swiftly, Izzy pins him to the floor, detailing the serious consequences of his situation. She presents a stark ultimatum: carefully consider their offer or be branded an enemy of the state. Tom and Izzy depart, leaving Seigi alone to contemplate his response and the life-altering decision before him. The next day, Izzy transfers to Seigi's school, introducing herself as Bluesy Fruzy and inviting students to call her Izzy. Seigi stands in absolute shock, while his classmates are captivated by her slender physique. Immediately after class, boys swarm around her, bombarding her with questions. Izzy dramatically points at Seigi, declaring her sole interest in him. Consumed by jealousy, the boys promptly throw Seigi into the swimming pool. Tuko confronts Izzy about her treatment of Seigi, whom she calls her Prince Charming. Soaking wet, Seigi climbs back up and scolds Izzy for her inappropriate behavior. During recess, Seigi takes Izzy to the school roof, demanding an explanation for her transfer. She reveals her mission is to protect him more effectively. Tom joins their conversation, and they once again ask Seigi to join their ranks in catching the tattoo thief. Seeking clarity, Seigi inquires about their true mission. Izzy explains their critical objective: preventing a potential war between America and Serbia, with the latter rumored to possess advanced sealed combat weapon technology. After carefully assessing their intentions, Seigi agrees to join Team Blue Moon, contingent on their maintaining noble purposes. As they welcome him, they offer a crucial warning: be cautious around blood, as it appears to be his tattoo's trigger. Seigi looks bewildered as they return downstairs, his new reality slowly sinking in. On their journey home, Tom praises Izzy for successfully recruiting Seigi without revealing the full truth. Izzy dismisses Seigi as naive, arguing that complete honesty isn't always the best approach. She firmly warns Tom never to take Seigi back to America, fearing he might become a laboratory experiment due to his unique compatibility with the Voidmaker tattoo. Surprised by her compassion, Tom teases Izzy about protecting a boy she just met. She remains silent, and Tom quickly apologizes for his insensitive comment. As rain begins to fall, he excuses himself and departs. Meanwhile, in Serbia, the Brahmin team successfully completes a coup d'etat, escorting their leader, Princess Aryabhata, to her new throne. Immediately upon assuming power, she instructs her covert squad's captain to initiate the next phase of their plan. The captain removes his hat, pledging to deliver her enemies. Arya speaks disparagingly about her father, calling him a fool for believing peace could exist between Serbia and America. The following day, Seigi navigates to Team Blue's safe house using a poorly drawn map. Startled by a crow, he nervously rings the doorbell. Tom initially mistakes him for a newspaper delivery person, but Seigi quickly identifies himself. Tom welcomes him inside. Unbeknownst to Seigi, Tuko follows him to the safe house, determined to uncover his recent secretive activities. As she cautiously moves between street poles, an eerie individual appears, staring menacingly. The mysterious figure attacks Tuko, successfully possessing her body. Inside the house, Seigi becomes disoriented. Izzy calls, apologizing for her absence, and instructing Tom to answer any of Seigi's questions. Before Seigi can respond, she abruptly hangs up. Shortly after, the home phone rings. Tom sends Seigi to the basement to retrieve some cardboard items. Upon answering the call, Tom learns about the Serbian coup d'etat from his informant, leaving him visibly confused. The doorbell rings repeatedly. When Tom opens the door, he's confronted by the possessed Tuko, who violently slashes his abdomen. Simultaneously at the school, Izzy is attacked by Laka, a 22-year-old Brahmin force member who bizarrely introduces himself as a single man seeking a girlfriend. After wildly attacking her, he tears off her clothes, leaving only her skirt, and attempts to intimidate her. Izzy remains composed, preparing to fight. Back at the safe house, the possessed Tuko confronts Seigi, declaring her intention to take his triggerless Voidmaker tattoo to Princess Arya. During their intense confrontation, Tuko's consciousness is transported into the mysterious girl's memories. In the first memory, Tuko witnesses Princess Arya encountering a street-dwelling child, the same girl she had previously met. Earlier, this child, later identified as Iltutmish, or Il, had attacked Arya when ordered to lick her boot. Instead of punishing her, Arya surprisingly decides to recruit her into her elite forces. She embraces the young girl, sealing her acceptance with a kiss. Tom, barely conscious after being attacked, urgently begs Seigi to retreat. When Seigi refuses to back down, Tom reveals a blood transfusion bag nearby, suggesting it could serve as a trigger for his tattoo. As Seigi attempts to reach the bag, Tuko, possessed by Il, swiftly kicks it away. Simultaneously, Izzy and Laka continue their destructive battle in the school building, causing significant structural damage. Izzy narrowly escapes a fatal blow by compressing air into a stone and creating a massive explosion. Frustrated, Laka vows to defeat her in their next encounter. Back at the safe house, Sigi struggles against the formidable Il. She delivers a devastating kick and subsequently lands a brutal strike on his left shoulder. Taunting him with harsh words, she prepares for a final, potentially fatal attack. Tom, still pinned to the floor, desperately reaches out towards Sigi. Tom's body remains paralyzed, seemingly unable to intervene. At the critical moment, Tuco's consciousness begins to fight for control of her body, recognizing the imminent threat to her. Prince Charming. This momentary struggle allows Tom to regain some strength. He quickly instructs Segi to pin Tuco's body down while he prepares to use his tattoo powers to extract Il from her. Thinking quickly, Segi trips Tuco, creating an opportunity for Tom. Tom rises and places his hand on Tuco's head, successfully pulling Il out of her body. Tuco regains control, with Seiji immediately checking her for injuries. Consumed by rage, Seiji positions himself protectively in front of Tom, anticipating Il's intended attack. He strategically places his tattoo-marked hand in the path, deliberately causing it to bleed and activate his tattoo's powers. When the black void matter emerges, Seigi unleashes its destructive potential, obliterating half the safe house in an attempt to eliminate Il. Despite the massive destruction, Il survives and retreats, following orders from Princess Arya. Izzy arrives minutes later, finding the safe house in complete ruins. She and Tom engage in a heated argument about trivial matters. Meanwhile, Tuco approaches Seigi, scolding him for recklessly putting himself in danger to protect her. Seigi remains silent, offering a humble apology for his earlier impulsive behavior. In the basement of their former safe house, Izzy and Tom have constructed a fully functional training room. During their first sparring session, Izzy easily defeats Seigi. Simultaneously, Tom tends to Tuco, applying a band-aid to her head, which already conceals one of the combat-sealed tattoos. He methodically removes and stores his own tattoos for later use. Curious, Seigi questions Tom's tattoo removal process. Tom explains that his tattoos are a synthesized version, unlike the ancient relics possessed by Seigi and Izzy, an art form lost to history. Izzy decides to reveal the gravity of Seigi's situation by showing him a picture of the last test subject who underwent the tattoo experiment. The graphic image drives home the dangerous and unique nature of his tattoo. Seiji comprehends the message, promising to never use his powers unsupervised again. Moving forward, Izzy shares critical information about his tattoo and potential for growth. Tom provides Seigi with a small device capable of detecting nearby tattoo users. Grateful, Seigi accepts the help and returns to his normal life. After Seigi's departure, Tom and Izzy discuss their primary concern, understanding Seigi and his newfound power. Tom checks their systems, confirming no information leaks. He suggests bringing Seigi back to America for protection, but Izzy firmly opposes this idea. She leaves the basement, requesting time to consider their next move. Seiji and Tuco race towards their home. Tuco relishes their shared secret, nearly confessing her feelings for Seiji. Just as Seiji begins to catch her meaning, she jumps on her bicycle and speeds ahead. She stops upon encountering a mother cat protectively guarding her kittens. The scene inspires Seigi to become stronger, and he continues running alongside Tuco. Shortly after, Il and Laka appear, observing the cat scene. The mother cat approaches Il, placing an injured kitten at her feet before retreating. Hours later, Izzy meets her supervisor Lisa during a shopping trip. Lisa spends an hour playfully teasing Izzy. After completing their shopping for their next mission, Lisa takes Izzy to a private location to inquire about their recent attack. Izzy, determined to protect Seiji's identity and powers, fabricates a story and downplays the incident. Lisa, recognizing Izzy's deception but choosing not to confront her directly, orders more cakes and Jolly Ranchers to enjoy their time together. Meanwhile, Il takes the injured kitten home, carefully bathing and calming it before settling down for dinner. Laka, having prepared the meal, becomes irritated with the kitten and makes disparaging comments. Il swiftly punishes him for his remarks. Laka then reveals their new weapon and their next target, Lisa, Izzy's supervisor. Seigi pursues a mobster attempting to steal a tattoo, navigating through the high-rise buildings with remarkable agility. When the thief realizes he's been caught, he tries to attack Seigi with a stick. Seiji gracefully dodges the attacks while maintaining his tattoo powers. Izzy oversees the confrontation from a building top, providing strategic guidance to help Seigi adapt to his tattoo's capabilities in high-stakes situations. Following her advice, Seigi ultimately subdues the thief using his distinctive tattoo drive. Izzy praises his determination, urging him to train harder to overcome more formidable opponents. Hours later, Il returns the previously injured kitten to its mother in a narrow alleyway. She then boards a hovering chopper, heading to her next destination. Meanwhile, Lisa and her subordinates relax in their secret safe house. Within 2 minutes, Il's chopper arrives, deploying the deadly Schrodinger's cat herself. Using her tattoo abilities, she phases through the building's roof, infiltrating undetected. In a single, swift movement, Il eliminates all of Lisa's subordinates before they can react. Having cleared the room, she now confronts Lisa, who activates her own tattoo powers in response. Tuco successfully completes a 3.5-meter long jump during her school's PE team practice. While her teammates congratulate and encourage her, Izzy focuses on examining the tattoo on Tuco's head. She attempts a provocative move to touch Tuco's breasts, but Tuco quickly fights her off. An emergency call from Tom arrives, requesting Izzy to rescue Lisa's team. She obtains permission from her PE teacher to leave early and activates her tattoo powers. Seigi, still in class, notices the small device Tom previously gave him, detecting Izzy's tattoo activation. He excuses himself and reaches the roof, witnessing Izzy jumping between buildings en route to Lisa's safe house. Meanwhile, Lisa and Il exchange tense words before their confrontation. Lisa inquires how Il located their safe house, but Il remains fixated on Lisa's tattoo abilities. Lisa acknowledges Il's impressive speed and power in neutralizing her subordinates, vowing to prevent Il's escape. Obliged to fight, Il activates her powers and uses her new weapon to severely wound Lisa's arms. During her building-to-building pursuit, Izzy encounters Laka's interference device, temporarily losing bodily control. She crashes onto the building where Laka is located, enduring a brief confrontation before he departs. Seigi arrives moments later, questioning Izzy about her sudden departure from school. While Seiji and Izzy converse, Lisa strategically draws Il closer by firing several shots. She then activates a bomb, creating a loud explosion heard by Seiji and Izzy nearby. Visibly concerned about Lisa's fate, Izzy implores Seigi to investigate the safe house. Seigi rushes to the building, finding it covered in blood. Reaching the roof, he discovers Il standing near Lisa's crucified body. Simultaneously, Izzy detects an explosive device beneath the roof and attempts to escape. However, her body, still weakened by Laka's gravity-inducing powers, fails to evade the blast. Before engaging Il in combat, Seigi attempts to discuss morality and the consequences of working for the wrong people. Il remains indifferent to his moral arguments and prepares to kill him. As Seigi lunges to attack, Il effortlessly pushes him off the building's roof. Tom catches Seigi mid-fall. Despite Seigi's efforts to return and continue fighting, Il and her companions have already escaped with Lisa. Later, Seigi sneaks back to school, where Tuko awaits to confront him. She demands to know his whereabouts, but Seigi remains tight-lipped. As Tuko becomes increasingly persistent, Seigi momentarily loses control and becomes aggressive. Quickly regaining his composure, he apologizes for his behavior and runs away. Tuko returns upstairs, lost in thought. Her friend notices her distress and asks what's wrong. Tuko reveals her fight with Seigi, worried she's damaged their relationship. Her friend reassures her, advising her to focus on getting closer to Seigi. Surviving the explosion, Izzy recovers and returns to Lisa's former safe house. She discovers Lisa's phone and plays a recorded conversation from her confrontation with Il. The recording reveals that Il and Laka are transporting Lisa to another kingdom for unknown tests. Izzy tosses the phone to Tom, urging him to prepare for a rescue mission. Unbeknownst to them, Laka and Il are already treating Lisa's wounds in preparation for their planned experiments. Seigi returns to Izzy's safe house and finds Tuko. Before he can apologize, she dismisses his attempt and directs him inside. In the basement, they encounter Izzy in her long coat. She formally greets Seigi, then swiftly pins and handcuffs him before departing to Il's hideout. Tom explains to the awakened Seigi that Izzy restrained him to protect him from potential capture by the enemy. He tells Tuko she's there to support Seigi. Tuko vows to stand by Seigi wherever he goes. Determined, Seigi breaks free from his restraints, knocks Tom unconscious, and uses his void power to destroy the building above the basement, enabling their escape to find Lisa. Later that night, Izzy and her team strategically position themselves to intercept the vehicle transporting Lisa from Il's hideout to Princess Arya. At the seaport, they successfully stop the vehicle. Laka, eager for a confrontation, welcomes Izzy and her team to an all-out battle against himself and Il. Princess Arya of Serbia arrives in Japan via her private jet. A female entourage greets her and provides a mission status update. At the seaport, Laka unleashes his full power, swiftly eliminating all of Izzy's men. Seizing the moment, Izzy sneaks up and shoots him in the face. Simultaneously, Il decimates the remaining team members using her tattoo abilities. Seigi and Tuko dramatically arrive to interrupt Il's assault. Seigi dramatically breaks a blood bag and activates his void powers. He criticizes Il for her indiscriminate killing, but she remains indifferent, caring only about her own survival. Enraged, Il attacks Seigi with full force, pinning him inside a container. She approaches slowly, sword raised to deliver a fatal blow. Tom calls Tuko, requesting she pass a receiver to Seigi. She tosses it, and Seigi catches it while dodging Il's attacks. Tom reveals Il's weakness. Her power relies on the uncertainty principle. He instructs Seigi to close his eyes and stop being an observer. Seigi follows the advice, but is shocked when Il maintains her power and slices his belly open. The critical twist. Tuko's presence as another observer allows Il's technique to continue functioning. Lisa struggles to free herself from her restraints while Seigi, bleeding profusely, staggers towards Tuko in a desperate attempt to protect her. Tuko erupts with fury, throwing herself at Il and pinning her against the wall. Her unexpected display of willpower shocks everyone, including Il herself. Despite this momentary advantage, Il quickly overpowers Tuko, knocking her to the ground. As Il prepares to deliver a fatal blow, Seigi hears the voice of the Voidmaker urging him to go berserk and negate Il to save Tuko. Though he doesn't fully comprehend the voice's instructions, Seigi surrenders to his powers. Seeing Il poised to strike Tuko, Seigi creates a ground hole that causes both Il and Tuko to fall into the sewers. He jumps in, simultaneously protecting Tuko and punching a hole through Il's Il's stomach, rendering her incapacitated. Il collapses, too weak to stand. Just as Seiji raises his fist for a final strike, he's unexpectedly stopped by Il's cat. To everyone's surprise, Princess Arya of Serbia appears and kisses Seigi, expressing admiration for his compatibility with the triggerless tattoo. She praises Seigi for making someone like Il cry, but warns that losing any more control could have destroyed both girls. Seigi stands bewildered, overwhelmed with questions, can only watch as Arya disappears with Il. Laka continues his one-on-one battle with Izzy, holding his ground effectively. Izzy skillfully dodges his attacks, simultaneously studying and identifying his weaknesses. Once she comprehends his fighting style, she calms down and precisely targets Laka's belly with an explosive shot. The bullet creates a powerful shockwave that disrupts Laka's gravity manipulation abilities. Just as Izzy believes she has defeated him, she makes a critical error by turning her back. Laka seizes the opportunity, activating his gravity effect to pin her to the ground. As he moves in for a final strike, Lisa arrives with her men and eliminates Laka. Arya and Il subsequently join Lisa and Izzy for a brief conversation before withdrawing from the conflict. Before departing, Arya dramatically reveals the seal of the triggerless tattoo, demonstrating her immense power. She instructs Seiji to become stronger with his available weapon before disappearing. Lisa discovers Seigi's power and becomes furious with Izzy for concealing information. As punishment, Lisa is taken to the penitentiary to face trial with Brigadier General Sanders. Her punishment involves overseeing Seigi during tattoo research. Surprisingly, Izzy is completely exonerated and allowed to go free. Seigi and Tuco unexpectedly encounter Arya and Il while out shopping. Tuco boldly challenges Arya to a ping-pong match, with Seigi agreeing to do the grocery shopping. Arya accepts the challenge, engaging in an intense game. Tuco plays with all her might, but proves no match for Arya. Not only does Arya defeat her comprehensively, but she also dramatically rips Tuco's clothes. Seigi returns moments later, scolding Tuco for participating in such an unusual contest. Seigi subsequently takes Arya to a bench and requests a full explanation. Arya reveals her primary motivation, creating a world of peace. She then departs, appointing Bibi, her former colleague, to monitor Seigi and ensure he doesn't deviate from the right path. Bibi accepts the assignment enthusiastically. The next morning, during breakfast at Seiji's place, Izzy discusses the US Army's situation. She asks Seiji if he'll join their ranks, acknowledging the potential for America to use tattoos as a means of global domination. Seigi firmly states he's not on America's side, but with their group. Izzy thanks him and continues eating. Elsewhere, Arya awakens and boards a chopper to her next city destination. That evening, Bibi meets Seigi for the first time. Perceiving Bibi as a threat, Seigi attempts to attack him. Bibi swiftly and decisively beats Seiji, forcing him to calm down and listen. Bibi knocks Seigi unconscious and drives him to a large facility. During the journey, Seigi's phone rings. Bibi answers, speaking to Izzy. She pauses her building-to-building travel, stunned by Bibi's blood's voice, as if seeing a ghost. Bibi promises to return Seigi to her after completing his task. Arriving at the massive building, Bibi wakes Seiji and explains its nature. They're at one of Arya's kingdom's largest research centers, notorious for conducting disturbing human experiments. Bibi urges Seigi to enter the building. When Seigi questions his motives, Bibi reveals he's a former kingdom member who turned against them after discovering the inhumane experiments. His current mission is to destroy the facility completely. Convinced by Bibi's explanation, Seigi uses his power to break a hole in the wall. As they navigate the research facility's inner chambers, Bibi shares crucial information about the Voidmaker tattoo that Izzy and Tom previously omitted. According to historical records, there are 4 Voidmaker tattoos in existence. Seigi possesses one on his palm, while Bibi has his on his tongue. The narrative further reveals that 4 corresponding ruins support these tattoo users. 3 ruins have already been discovered and controlled by different countries. America controls 1 ruin, Arya's kingdom controls 2, and the Brahmin team is currently in Japan searching for the 4th and final ruin. Arya, Il, and her vice captain Cal descend through a hole into an underground forest cave, racing to locate the final ruin before America can claim it. Bibi and Seigi encounter enemies en route to the facility's inner chambers. Bibi effortlessly defeats them without activating his Voidmaker powers, then guides Seigi deeper into the facility. They find Mr. Genius, real name Karam, waiting in the inner chamber. Karam displays his madness before releasing synthetic sealed copycats to fight Bibi and Seigi. When Bibi inquires about the test subjects, Karam coldly explains that he used humans as guinea pigs, forcibly fusing their bodies with the tattoo's nucleus to create synthetic hosts with similar powers. As a deadly failsafe, Karam reveals he's implanted bombs in each test subject that will detonate upon contact, eliminating their enemies. Bibi strategically identifies and clusters all the bombs before using his powers to neutralize them. Meanwhile, Arya and her subordinates navigate the cave toward the last ruin. They discuss Bibi, whom they consider a traitor to their kingdom. Cal passionately vows to personally crush him with her own hands. Bibi clusters the enemies together and uses his void powers to create an artificial frequency that destroys the bombs and simultaneously knocks them unconscious. Karam watches in disbelief as his plans completely unravel. Bibi quickly breaks into Karam's cubicle and arrests him. Manisha, Karam's assistant, attempts to protect her master, but Karam prevents her from sacrificing herself, begging Bibi for mercy. Unmoved, BB knocks them both unconscious and waits for military authorities to arrive. After completing his mission, BB takes Seigi to the mountains, striking a heroic pose. Meanwhile, in another part of Japan, Arya undresses and begins the process of fusing with the last ruin to seize control. BB visits his doctor, delivering a flash drive containing technology to help recharge his powers, which had been taking longer to regenerate. Following this, he goes to the riverside where Seigi is training his abilities. BB joins Seigi and provides guidance about void powers, advising him to make his powers smaller to achieve a more significant effect on the targeted area. Seigi continues his training. Later that evening, BB encounters Izzy, who is waiting for him. Emotionally, she asks BB, whom she calls Blood, why he left the American military program. Initially, BB ignores her, but Izzy persists, hugging him tightly and begging for something to hold on to. BB reveals the critical information about the four ruins' potential. He explains that if a single force could control all four ruins simultaneously, they would possess the power to rewrite the entire world. Izzy looks concerned and calls BB selfish for attempting to handle everything alone. BB dismisses her comment and leaves. Hours later, BB visits his doctor for an update on the tattoo rewrite he requested. Unfortunately, the doctor has made no progress, forcing BB to continue waiting. The next day, Tuko bursts into Seiji's dojo, wearing only a nightie. Finding Seiji asleep on the floor, she gets uncomfortably close. Seiji awakens and inadvertently activates a physical response due to Tuko's proximity. Sitting directly on him, Tuko becomes startled by the unexpected physical reaction. They ultimately move past the awkward moment, with Tuko making Seigi promise never to leave her side again. Colonel Sanders briefs Seigi and Tuko about their critical mission, infiltrating the location of the fourth ruin and destroying it before Arya and her team can fuse and activate its power. Seiji confirms Sanders has considered Tuko's safety, and Sanders reassures him that they've already taken appropriate precautions. Lisa introduces Seigi to the members of Team Blue, emphasizing the importance of teamwork. She then provides Seigi with detailed mission specifics to ensure he fully understands the operation's parameters. Sanders delivers a final motivational speech to energize his team and prepare them for the upcoming battle. Meanwhile, BB undergoes a restorative medical procedure in Wiseman's office. During the treatment, they discuss the ongoing external conflict. Concerned about Izzy, BB requests to be removed from the MRI machine to go to her aid. However, Wiseman advises patience, urging BB to complete the procedure to ensure he can move forward without risking his life. BB heeds Wiseman's advice and relaxes to finish the medical treatment. Sanders' team approaches the mountains, unleashing a barrage of machine gun fire on the fourth ruin's location. When the firepower becomes excessive, Seigi asks Sanders to stop. Sanders bluntly reminds Seiji that they're at war and he needs to become comfortable with the concept of killing. The team descends from their attack helicopter and takes strategic positions to ambush the ruins. Captain Johnson rashly charges towards Cal, the Brahmin Kingdom's vice captain. Cal swiftly dispatches him, slicing him in half, and then summons her subordinates to confront the American military forces. Inside the ruin, a maid soldier reports the external situation to Arya, who is mid-fusion with the fourth ruin. Pausing her procedure, Arya instructs Il to assist Cal after receiving a power boost. Il complies, obtains the enhancement, and heads outside. Externally, Izzy and her colleagues struggle against Cal's devastating air-slicing attacks. Seiji attempts to corner Cal with his team but ultimately decides to pursue Arya instead. Cal intercepts him, temporarily incapacitating Seigi before returning to her ongoing battle. The battle intensifies as Cal's subordinates clash with the American forces, with gunfire erupting across the battlefield. Suddenly, Il emerges from the ground, transforming into a massive, powerful beast. Consumed by uncontrollable bloodlust, Il attacks the helicopters, systematically destroying them one by one. Sanders' helicopter goes down quickly, but he manages to save both himself and Tuko, joining the ground fight. Cal confronts Sanders, attempting to slice him with her air attacks. Sanders skillfully dodges her strikes and counters with a flying air punch. Recognizing Sanders as a formidable opponent, Cal escalates her assault. Inside the cave, Arya completes her transformation. After dressing, she provocatively fondles one of her maid's chests and instructs her to collect scattered tattoos. During the external battle, Sanders lands a devastating blow on Cal's abdomen. Collaborating with Izzy, he manipulates air density to trap Cal in an airlock. However, Cal escapes just in time and retaliates with flying blade slices that sever Sanders' right hand and leg. The same attack completely incapacitates Izzy's hand. Helpless, Izzy backs against a tree, awaiting Cal's fatal blade strike. Just as hope seems lost, BB arrives on his motorcycle and rescues Izzy. Sanders and Izzy are stunned by his unexpected intervention. BB confronts Cal and discovers the entire scenario is a trap designed to lure him to the ruins and steal his tattoo's power. Arya, having completed her transformation, finds Seigi lying on the ground. She lifts him and pins him to an earthen wall using one of her pincers. Before immobilizing him, she reveals her true intentions: to use the Four Ruins' power to rewrite the world of tattoos and establish herself as the supreme ruler. Her strategy for BB is to wait until he exhausts his energy and dies, allowing her to retrieve his tattoo without direct confrontation. Seigi attempts to protest, but Arya swiftly stabs him before he can speak. A short distance away, BB confronts Cal about her feelings for him. Initially embarrassed, Cal denies her love. BB then crushes her heart by declaring his affection for Izzy, stating she owns his heart. Enraged, Cal attempts to strike BB with a single, lethal blow. BB blocks her attack and prepares to counter. Before the fight begins, Izzy experiences a flashback to a previous moment with BB. He had held her hand, examining her tattoos, and asked if she hated them. Izzy had responded that she'd grown accustomed to using tattoos after being forced to do so. Wiseman, having sent BB into battle, contemplates the nanomachines he installed in BB's system, hoping they will sustain BB's power long enough to fight Cal. The epic battle commences with BB and Cal exchanging void powers and air slicers. Lisa eliminates one of her pursuers and checks on Colonel Sanders, finding him barely clinging to life. Without hesitation, she contacts Burns, appointing him interim captain while Sanders receives medical attention. She then rushes towards the confrontation between BB and Cal, wondering about BB's presence. Burns immediately begins issuing orders to salvage the remaining soldiers. He witnesses Il, still in her monstrous beast form, brutally slicing a soldier in half. Recognizing the imminent danger, he orders a full retreat to prevent further casualties. He entrusts Tuco to Tom, urgently instructing him to escort her far from the battlefield. As Tuco escapes the forest, her thoughts drift to Seiji, hoping he is safe. Seiji struggles against Arya's constraints, unable to free himself. Arya mocks him, calling him a key to her success. When Seiji attempts to ask more questions, she remains silent. As BB and Cal continue their intense battle, Tuco returns to the battleground searching for Seigi. Tom tries to follow her, but his tattoo's copy effects expire, leaving him stranded. Burns and Lisa stand as the last line of defense against Il's monstrous form. They fist bump and commit to defeating her. BB manages to slice off Cal's katana, enraging her. She unleashes her ultimate attack. Although BB dodges most of the strikes, a single hit inflicts significant damage to his limbs. Il proves relentless against Burns and Lisa, employing every possible attack. During a moment when the duo believes they've trapped the beast, Il strikes. Burns sacrifices himself in a massive explosion to save Lisa. Nearby, Izzy attempts to sneak up on Arya. Anticipating her approach, Arya attacks and crucifies Izzy on an earthy material. At that instant, BB crashes to the ground, missing a limb. He pleads with his source to grant him the remaining power to defeat Cal. Miraculously, his source responds, and BB's missing limb regenerates instantly. Before engaging, Arya reiterates her plans to Seigi, advising him to surrender. Defiant, Seigi refuses to yield, shouting at her to stop her destructive intentions. BB and Cal engage in a second round of combat, but with BB significantly weakened, he struggles. In a critical moment, Seigi pleads with his source for power to defeat the princess. His source responds, granting him enough strength to break free from her constraints. Seigi assists BB in the fight, helping him take down Cal with a massive, explosive shockwave. Immediately after Cal's defeat, BB's source begins to consume his body. Before being completely engulfed, BB desperately begs Seigi to consume him so he doesn't go to waste. Emotionally overwhelmed, Seigi hesitates, displaying fear and reluctance. Arya attempts to intervene, but Sanders arrives at the perfect moment, creating a diversion that allows Seigi to consume BB and his source. Seigi absorbs BB's source, gaining increased power. Exhausted, Seigi lies on the ground, staring blankly into the distance. Tuco runs towards him, but before he can call her name, Il suddenly appears and devours Tuco. Il then reverts to her human form and approaches her master. Arya, recognizing their mission's completion, creates a protective barrier to secure the fourth ruin. Seigi and his surviving team members escape Arya and are brought to Wiseman's laboratory. Seigi sits quietly, awaiting Wiseman's arrival and their strategic discussion. Wiseman begins by explaining why Il's source didn't overtake her soul during the previous battle with Arya. With a smile, he apologizes to Seigi for drawing him into this complex world. Izzy arrives, now with only one arm, and threatens Wiseman, warning him to be cautious. Maintaining his composure, Wiseman praises Izzy's resilience, calling her a strong woman. Unimpressed by his compliments, Izzy keeps her knife pressed against him and demands to know BB's true objective. Wiseman reveals a surprising truth. BB had always been working to destroy tattoos and liberate the world from their influence. However, he warns Seigi that BB's unfortunate fate on the battlefield might similarly await Seigi, now that he has inherited a portion of BB's power. Before their confrontation escalates further, Wiseman instructs Seigi to enter an animus-like pod so he can examine BB's memories. In one memory, BB is sparring with Cal on his first day joining the Brahmin team. While holding his own against the skilled swordswoman, the kingdom's king approaches his daughter Arya, who is observing their practice. He questions whether they can trust BB, a former American military member, to join their ranks. Arya reassures her father, explaining that Bibi has provided valuable secrets about the American army. She confidently states that even if Bibi harbors any sinister intentions, she knows how to handle him. After the sparring session, Ajita, the captain of the Brahmin forces, welcomes Bibi to the team. Varma, another Brahmin team member, also personally greets Bibi. Arya then arrives and offers her own welcome. As a gesture of gratitude for his intelligence, she presents Bibi with a triggerless tattoo. Bibi subsequently excuses himself and explores the building's blueprints in a small house. While researching, he opens a door and unexpectedly finds Cal changing. He politely waits for her to finish and then engages her in conversation. Cal provides Bibi with a warning about the team's rules and expectations. That night, while observing, Bibi detects movement in nearby bushes and discovers Varma. He swiftly attacks and pins Varma down, interrogating him intensely. Through questioning, Bibi learns that Varma is a spy sent by the king to monitor his daughter's activities. Recognizing Bibi's true identity, Varma proposes a mutual cooperation and promises to keep Bibi's secret. Bibi inquires about the palace and research facility. Suddenly, Gainshan of Arya's most formidable creatures appears and attacks. Bibi creates an escape route for Varma while engaging Ganesha in combat. During the fight, Ganesha stabs Bibi's side with an earthy sword, sending him flying several meters away. Bibi checks his wound and quickly heals himself. He then rushes to the king's castle, where he finds Varma with the king. Varma speaks highly of Bibi and advocates for their collaboration. The king evaluates Bibi's intentions and ultimately welcomes him. Before fully committing, Bibi reveals Arya's plot to overthrow the king and claim the throne for herself. The king becomes defensive and orders Bibi to leave his room. On his way back to his quarters, Bibi encounters Arya, who invites him to join her and Cal on an upcoming mission. Bibi embarks on his first mission as a Brahmin operative, working alongside Cal to neutralize enemies. Cal becomes concerned when she notices Bibi's reluctance to kill his former comrades. Bibi explains his personal philosophy of sparing both sinners and saints, believing their ultimate punishment should be left to a higher power. Cal dismisses his stance, swiftly killing the enemy with her sword before returning inside. The next day, Arya arrives at their safe house with Iltutmish, aka Schrodinger's cat. At this time, Il was still relatively unrefined and limited in her capabilities. Bibi continues his stakeout with Varma, keeping a low profile. One night, Bibi demonstrates his power to Varma and reveals their plan to infiltrate Samsara, Arya's hideout. Before departing, he inquires why the king became defensive when Arya was mentioned. Varma explains the king's deep love for Arya, hoping Bibi understands. Bibi acknowledges the sentiment and encourages Varma to have faith in the future. Ganesha attacks again, but this time Bibi, with Varma's assistance, counters and destroys her tattoo using his Voidmaker power. Afterward, his vision becomes blurry, yet he remains determined to continue his mission. Bibi punches through a wall, entering the inner chamber of Arya and her sister's playroom. Varma is shocked to discover multiple Aryas playing together. Surprisingly, one of the Arya sisters introduces her siblings and offers them a tour of the facility. She leads them to a control room containing thousands of pods housing Arya's clones. Intrigued, Bibi begins asking questions about the clones. Arya pauses his inquiries, preparing to share the history behind their creation. 35 years ago, the kingdom's king embarked on a horrific mission to create a powerful tool like Arya. He gathered numerous people, treating them like experimental subjects in his quest to develop a single extraordinary organism. His pursuit involved mass murder and the near total extinction of an entire clan. Bibi activates one of his plans, capturing several of Arya's sisters. He quickly burns critical information onto a flash drive and escapes the facility. Upon discovering his actions, Arya orders Cal to stop Bibi at any cost. Cal intercepts Bibi in the woods and kills Varma during their confrontation. Bibi manages to escape and takes Varma's body to the king, confronting him about his crimes. The Control Arya, upon learning of her father's atrocities, dedicated herself to rewriting the world and saving the lives of the 3,000 people her father had ruthlessly eliminated. Caught and overwhelmed, the king reveals everything to Bibi. Surprisingly, instead of condemning him, Bibi swears to protect the king from Arya, recognizing her as a far more dangerous threat than he initially believed. The king provides Bibi with a secret railway to help him reach Arya's hideout undetected, with the goal of protecting the nation and its people. Bibi takes the secret train and arrives at a port. There, he confronts and defeats Il before facing Cal, who attacks him with full intensity. Bibi creates a barrier to protect himself and rushes towards Arya's control center. Control Arya appears shortly after, firing a void laser beam at a departing ship. After missing her target, she commands Cal to find and eliminate Bibi by any means necessary. Bibi surfaces in the water, clinging to the ship to continue his journey. After reliving this memory, Sigi finds himself in limbo with Bibi. Emotionally, he expresses his concerns about the challenging path ahead. Bibi responds calmly, assuring Sigi he'll support him every step of the way. Months later, the former Team Blue members live in isolation within the woods, far from Arya's forces. While fishing, Izzy and Sigino significantly stronger discuss BB, the princess, and Wiseman. Izzy expresses concern about Wiseman's potential betrayal, but Seigi encourages her not to worry, claiming he has the situation under control. He then catches a massive fish and returns to their training grounds. That evening after training, Seigi and the remaining Team Blue members consume a protein-rich, unconventional meal. Izzy complains about eating worms, but Tama, her colleague, playfully forces some into her mouth. Izzy retaliates by attacking Tama. After their meal, Seigi and his team continue training in the woods. This time, Seigi outperforms everyone, completing the training exceptionally well. Upon returning, Izzy receives a call from headquarters alerting them that Arya and her forces have located them. She discovers a CD labeled letter and takes it to HQ for analysis. The next day, Seiji and Izzy arrive at headquarters to review the CD's contents. Wiseman attempts to discourage them from watching the video, but Seigi demands he stop stalling and play it. After viewing the video, they learn that Arya is keeping Lisa alive and plans to invade the Grand Canyon in America to seize control of the fourth ruin. Seigi urges Wiseman to mobilize their forces to stop Arya, but Wiseman advises waiting for the virus he planted in Seigi's tattoo to fully activate. Wiseman explains that if Arya takes control of the ruin and tries to use Seigi's tattoo to release it, the virus will sabotage the entire operation and destroy both Arya and the ruin. Seigi continues to argue, but Wiseman challenges him to consider what BB would have done. Izzy speaks up, asserting that BB would immediately move to save Lisa without hesitation. She points her gun at Wiseman, demanding he mobilize American troops to rescue Lisa before Arya can kill her. Wiseman ultimately concedes to their demands and instructs them to prepare for departure to America. Before their departure, Tama visits Yumi, who works as a cosplayer for a manga company. He promises to marry her if he returns safely from America. Sensing the danger, Yumi becomes worried about his mission. Tama reassures her, urging her to wait for her hero to return after saving the world. Team Blue flies to the Grand Canyon to join Sanders and his forces. Shortly after their arrival, Ajita, the captain of the Brahmin group, appears and threatens to take down Sanders' troops. The battle erupts immediately. Izzy and her team engage in combat, with Seiji clearing a pathway through the ravines. He encounters Laka and his partner, observing as they decimate American soldiers. Realizing the urgency, the team knows they must act quickly. Izzy leaps from her vantage point and attacks Laka's partner, shocking everyone when she discovers the partner is actually Lisa. Tama rescues some soldiers from being completely overwhelmed, knocking out those who complain. He confronts Lisa, attempting to introduce himself but gets interrupted by her verbose response. The two exchange increasingly insulting remarks before engaging in combat. Izzy defeats Lisa and turns her attention to Laka, becoming more serious than usual and promising to inflict significant damage on the talkative opponent. Meanwhile, Ajita and his killer bees systematically take down several attack choppers. Cal infiltrates the American base, eliminating their commander. Just as she prepares to take out Sanders, Arya intervenes. She instructs Cal to stand down and keep Sanders alive, wanting to use him for future humiliation. Seigi locates the ruin within the canyon and uses his Voidmaker to drill into the underground cave. Descending to the ruin, he encounters Cal and realizes the princess is already inside. Cal warns him that destroying the ruin is nearly impossible. Seigi allows a fragment of BB's source to take over, enabling his body to regenerate after devastating attacks. He hurls derogatory remarks at Cal and begins their intense fight. Simultaneously, Tama employs his sealed power to enhance his strength against one of Laka's partners. Izzy battles Laka and becomes trapped with her teammates Lawrence and Tony. She quickly issues orders and rushes to confront Lisa. Laka brutally beats Tony and Lawrence. Izzy successfully breaks Lisa's swords and forcibly removes the Schrodinger's cat from her body. After her victory, she hears Lawrence and Tony's agonizing screams as Laka uses wire strings to cut their insides. Laka eliminates Lawrence and prepares to take down Tony. Izzy intervenes, shooting a venomous bullet that poisons Laka. On another part of the battlefield, Tama pins one of Laka's partners to the wall. The woman creates internal spines, surrounding herself with them. As Tama prepares to finish her, Izzy throws Laka at the woman. Tama ultimately takes out both opponents. During the fight, Seiji maintains his ground against Cal but sustains repeated injuries. At a critical moment, he pauses and questions Cal about her support for Arya's quest to become a deity. Cal explains the intricate connection between Arya and her sisters, emphasizing that Arya's ascension to godhood would bring unprecedented benefits to them. Her explanation reveals the complex motivations behind Arya's actions. Listening carefully, Seigi realizes that Arya's success would ultimately lead to her losing herself. A profound sense of sympathy overcomes him for Arya's misguided ambition. As Cal charges, Seigi stops her and declares his determination to prevent Arya from conquering humanity. He steals one of her swords and uses it against her. Cal decides to unleash her full potential. She partially undresses, thanking Seigi for giving her the opportunity to use her strongest attack. Taking her stance, she challenges Seigi to attack. Seigi takes a deep breath and charges. He endures several devastating hits, allowing BB's soul to guide his movements. When he finally sees an opening, he delivers a powerful punch that knocks Cal unconscious. In her final moments before losing consciousness, Cal sees BB and curses him for being so distant from her. Arya appears, fully transformed after absorbing the ruin's complete power. Seigi understands that this moment represents the culmination of all his training. He concentrates void energy and launches powerful blasts at Arya. However, she has already mastered controlling the pure energy of the fuses. She gracefully dodges and counters every single one of Seigi's attacks, forcing him into a defensive position and leaving him no opportunity to counterattack. When the moment is right, Arya expands her power to form a giant. During this transformation, she delivers a lecture to Seigi about the psychological dynamics between the weak and the strong. Simultaneously, her team captain Ajita loses the aerial battle with the choppers. He decides to self-destruct, enlarging his seal into a massive form that creates an enormous crater, destroying everything in the vicinity. Izzy and the remaining team members wait for the explosion to subside. They descend into the crater and find Sanders lying near a wall. After confirming his safety, they immediately rush towards Seigi, hoping to save him before Arya can completely destroy him. En route, Izzy takes a moment to look at her family picture. She wishes she never had to return to the place where she lost everything. Yet, she acknowledges that duty calls, and her only option is to accept the mission and save the world's last hope, Seigi. Seigi struggles against Arya's overwhelming power. While lecturing him about altruism and selflessness, she brutally attacks him, puncturing his belly and stabbing his back with earth pincers. She describes humans as an infectious species, claiming she's cleansing the world of this infection. Arya creates a hole in the ground and punches Seigi to the lower level. Izzy, Tom, and Tama arrive immediately and begin treating Seigi's wounds. Seigi desperately begs his colleagues to let him go and avenge Tuco's death. But Izzy and Tama refuse to allow him to take any rash actions. They leave Seigi in Tom's care and confront the princess themselves. Tom carries Seigi to Colonel Sanders, seeking his help. Arya calmly sits on her throne, attacking Tama and Izzy. Izzy manages to get close enough to throw Arya from her throne. However, this victory is short-lived. Izzy is severely injured and quickly knocked unconscious. Arya sustains a minor hand injury, which irritates her so intensely that she collapses the entire cave in an attempt to kill Izzy and Tama. After dealing with them, Arya floats to the surface and confronts Sanders and his choppers. Inside the chopper, Sanders reveals to his men that he has strategically placed a nuclear weapon somewhere in the Grand Canyon. Sanders tells his men to be prepared for the ultimate sacrifice to prevent Arya from achieving her goals. When the moment arrives, he presses the button to activate the nuke, but nothing happens. The realization drives him into a frenzy, and he screams manically inside the chopper. Tired of the spectacle, Seigi leaps from the chopper, catching Izzy during his descent. As they fall, Arya materializes her source into a massive megazord. She attempts to devour Seigi and Izzy with one of her heads. However, Seigi's source dramatically eats through the megazord's mouth, saving both himself and Izzy. Wiseman, observing everything on his large screen, presses a peculiar remote activating the virus he had previously slipped into Seigi's drink. The virus begins to poison Arya's Megazord, compelling Seigi to materialize his own source and transform into his personal Megazord. As Seigi transforms, the poison starts affecting Arya and her sisters through the connection she established when she kissed Seigi earlier. Despite Seigi's efforts, Arya's Megazord brutally pulverizes his own. During the beating, Seigi enters a trance, realizing how dire his situation has become. Tom shouts to him, reminding Seigi that 7 billion people's hopes and wishes rest in his hands. Reinvigorated by Tom's words, Seigi rises and breaks the jaw of Arya's Megazord. Meanwhile, Izzy awakens in a trance and finds BB. She runs into his arms, seeking comfort and embracing him. In the external world, Seigi regains control of his Megazord and turns the battle's tide. He apologizes to everyone he's ever betrayed, including Tuco, and asks for their strength in this final confrontation. In one fluid motion, Seigi systematically beats down every inch of Arya's Megazord. The eldest sister manipulates the systems, absorbing the headaches of all her sisters to save them. The battle continues as Seigi relentlessly pummels Arya and her Megazord. With the world's fate in his hands, he takes a final stride towards victory, blasting Arya's Megazord into nothingness. The battlefield falls silent as everyone awaits the battle's aftermath. As the dust settles, the American forces see Seigi as the last man standing. They chant their country's name and release a victory cry, commemorating Seigi as the hero who saved their country from imminent destruction. Sanders, overwhelmed by the events, completely loses his mind and becomes a permanent fool.